Hey guys, Dave here for Nerdarchy. Four nerds, by nerds, hanging out with special guest
Scott Garibay.
And I'm Ted.
Today we are going to be talking about a subject very near and dear to Scott's heart. What is that, Scott?
Hit points as resources. If your character is coming out of a battle and he doesn't have a scrape on him, shame on you. You should be leaving 50 to 75% of your hit points as flesh and blood on the battlefield in every fight.
So I'm absolutely against this. My philosophy is like armor class is one of your most vital stats. You want it high. You want to not be hit. You want to be using tactics, terrain, anything you can to get as little attacks on you as possible. And another thing that's so near and dear to you is when you're casting your own spells that are AOE. You want to try and aim it so that you're going to keep your allies out of it. And Scott is like, hey, I'm all about fireballing the party if it's going to allow me to get more of the enemy in the shot.
Yep. So here's my take on this, right? I'm a strong believer in this. So one, the issue is I play Magic the Gathering. I'm very blessed to have been playing since the early 90s. I played from the very beginning of the hobby. And so basically a Magic player, and this is the thing that stuns me, is D&D players are like, woo, I came out unscratched. I'm like, that's shameful. Basically, your hit points are resources in that battle. Like, if you get in there and you're closer to the enemy, you're going to lose points and you're going to be able to deal more damage and have more targeting options and all that kind of thing, right? So your blood is a resource that should be spent, and every Magic the Gathering player out there knows what I'm talking about. You want to get down to you start at 20, you want to get down to 12 or 6 or whatever. You don't want to come out with 20 because that's just overpowered and you didn't really play well, right? So you want to leave it on the field, right? And so the other issue is, one, when you run up, like, we have an entire class that lives this way. Fighters run up, they have people firing in from behind them all the time. I personally, as a player, have put an arrow into the back. As a ranger, I put an arrow in the back of multiple fighter characters, and honestly, it's never been an issue where they're like, "Oh, I can't believe you shot me in the back." We have a little bit of back and forth about it, and there's a little bit of, but they understand that's their job. They catch my arrows every now and then. Yeah, that's just it, right? And so I really feel that you definitely should be leaving it on the field.
You're using Magic the Gathering as a kind of a core component, and black. When you play black and you play in Necropotence or whatever black spells that are allowing you to sacrifice life for some kind of advantage, that fits a lot of people's play styles. Like, all right, I'll take 3 damage so that I do 5 or 7 to you. Yeah, that's a good trade. But what if you got the player who's like, I play white green, man. If I leave the game and I only have 20, I've done it wrong, man. I want to have 40. I want to have 60. So there's
You guys are speaking another language.
I know it's not hitting home.
I thought we were having a D&D video.
So let's bring it back to D&D. So from the perspective of D&D, so one of the things, let's think about it from the perspective of the characters. The characters have bottles, magical bottles of magical swill that they drink down. Boop. My level has come up. I got a cleric over here. I have multiple, and even beyond that, now the game itself is saying, hey, short rest, you get some hit dice back. The whole thing is saying, leave it on the field. Don't walk off the field undamaged. These players know they can drink a slushie and get healing. The cleric can lay hands on them, and even if they just take a break, they're going to get hero points back. They know this world was built for them to go out, cut people in half, and get some cuts on them. And then if they're walking off that field without half their straps being cut off and and some blood flowing, that is an incredible waste.
Well, I'm the cleric that I have no problem standing over top of the body of a fallen companion just to try to stop them, stop the monster from actually getting a hit on them, and I've done this in Dave's campaign multiple times at 1 hit point, because I am that that sacrifice player. It's like, all right, I'll go stand there, I'll do a a stabilize, either with a healer's kit or a cantrip, stay the dying or whatever it's called. Spare the dying. So I'll definitely, go in there and do that. But as that character, if there's no chance for me to be in melee, he's absolutely, let me be hands off, because I don't want to get hit. I don't feel he doesn't do anything in melee. His melee scores suck.
So, along this lines, right, a fight was almost started in one of our more recent games that you're not in, Scott, and one of our players was going to stab the other player with a pencil, I believe, because the one player got dropped, and the other player was a sorcerer who had a cloud of daggers up and was like figuring out, how can I thunder wave as many monsters as possible into that cloud of daggers? And he's like, oh, I can do it real easy here, but this one player that's down is going to get hit too. So he's like, well, I can get 2 more enemies this way. I'm doing it. And he thunder waves her character right into her down character, right? Or no, the character wasn't down.
The character
yet.
wasn't down, but she went down because she got hit by the spell and then into the cloud.
Automatic death save failure.
Right. Yeah.
And ton of damage, like just barely missed dying from hit points, and using that philosophy of how can I get the most enemies. We used to have a player we nicknamed Psycho. Whenever he played a mage, that was he absolutely saw it that way.
Yeah.
You're on the battlefield with the enemy, you're fair game.
Yeah.
If I can get 2 more enemies in the blast radius, absolutely. As a DM, I like dropping players in this edition. I feel like it's hard to kill characters in this edition, but if you can drop 1 or 2 a combat, it makes it feel a little more lethal. So yeah, I like expending that resource.
And so, well, this is a weird opinion too, but I even go further than saying use your HP as a resource. I say use the death save as a resource. The death save is incredibly safe. Embrace the death save. Take your character to the death save all the way down. Seriously, at worst you get 2 rolls. Normally you get 3, and any person who comes by and just drops a good berry in your mouth, you're good, you're up, you're going, right? And so to me, you definitely want to embrace the death save.
Good berry is a ranger or a druid spell, so you're not necessarily always going to have one of them. Not every player group has access to healing potions. Not every campaign style is different.
But in this edition, we have bard, cleric, ranger, druid,
right,
paladin. They all can heal.
There's even a skill check, and I think you could even do the skill check without proficiency.
Yeah, it's do medicine.
It's just a medicine DC 10
it's super
or a
easy
healer
to
kit.
stabilize.
Or a healer's kit.
Super easy to stabilize.
Pro tip, guys, don't leave home without a healer's kit.
absolutely.
Because it costs Paris's life.
Yep.
So
a healer's kit doesn't require a save roll or a skill roll at all. It literally just, you expend 1 resource or one use of the kit. It's
put a band-aid on them and they're good.
You put a band-aid on them, it stabilizes, they're good to go. And that actually attributes to the heroic situation that D&D puts out there. But, we've seen, okay, well, I don't have a healer's kit, and somebody drops, somebody dies, and while it's only happened once so far in a game, it's been very close many times. So
as it should be.
So, and I would go further. So there's 2 hobbies that I have. That one, if you're a D&D player, I would highly encourage anyone to start layering other hobbies in there, because they really make your D&D play better. So I have 2 hobbies that really dovetail. One is Warhammer 40K. I started playing Warhammer 40K, and it's great because you send out guys. These Space Marines are going to get slaughtered. I know that. So it's expendable, right? So that's just one. The other one is bicycling. I'm a huge fan of bicycling.
All right, I want to see how this one plays out.
Yeah, absolutely. This is where I put my money where my mouth is, right? I literally bleed for bicycling. So I just took, me and my wife went to Baltimore. We took 2 bicycles down there. So we're at the hotel, and I'm taking her bicycle to go lock it up in front of the hotel. There's a big truck coming in, and this happens when you're in the city and you're bicycling. You have to move and move fast. You move with traffic, and you're always running around. So I just moved this bicycle along, and that bicycle bit my shin big time with its big knobby pedals. And if you ask my wife, I am constantly, my shins are bleeding all the time, and I have scars all over my shins because I'm always taking my bicycles around, and I'm pushing them here and I'm taking them there, and I'm getting scraped up on walls that I pass and all this kind of stuff. I leave blood on the ground when I'm bicycling in Philadelphia, New York, and Baltimore. I take bicycling very seriously. My shins are constantly covered with scars. To me, if I'm willing to do that for bicycling, I'm sure as I'm going to do that with a fictional character. Leave your blood on the field.
I can speak to that. I haven't done any recently, but I'm in my Gary Fisher mountain bike, which I'm very happy with. And a buddy of mine does a lot of trail riding.
Yeah.
And around here, we live in the Pine Barrens, and I've hit a tree or two. I've almost gone over cliffs.
Yeah.
And I've wiped out on bridges and all kinds of different stuff. So yeah, you do leave it on the field like any other sport.
So I've done more than my fair share of cycling. I've done I don't know if it's thousands of miles, but it's definitely over 1,000, and I have not really had any serious major issues.
You're just not into it. You're not serious, Ted.
Well, but the issue though is these characters, we don't have to actually feel their pain, so we definitely want to use their hit points as resources. And also, if you're one of these precious players out there who's playing a fighter or playing somebody, and you're like, oh, I took some damage from my player character, my co-player characters. Get used to it. Like, you need to be doing this. You need to allow them to maximize damage across as many opponents as possible, and you're going to take some of it.
We're not playing that other game, right? What's that other game you like to refer to?
What's that?
Dungeons and Doilies.
That's right.
Dragons.
We're playing Dungeons and Doilies. We're playing Dungeons and Dragons, not Dungeons and Doilies. That's exactly right. You play for keeps. You maximize your damage done, and I really feel that HP is a fantastic resource that you want to be using in every fight. And the other issue is, especially in lower levels, when you run out of your hardcore spells, go in there and beat somebody with your quarterstaff and stab somebody with a dagger. Just because you have 12 hit points doesn't mean you should be not doing your part and cutting down some goblins.
Yeah, so make sure as you wizards you forget that you've got access to unlimited cantrips, and you go in there and smack them with your quarterstaff.
Or take the knife out of their hand and stab them with it.
That's true. Yeah, that is
So
true.
I know this is going to be quite a debate down in the comments, so feel free to be the first one to start that. While you're at it, like, share, subscribe.
You can hang out with us on Facebook.
So until next time,
Stay nerdy.